So today, Jeremy, we're going to talk about the rates, right? I do see buyers slowly but surely coming back into the market. I think they're getting used to the idea of the rates are not going to go back to 3% like in 2020, 2021, that they're more likely are going to stay in the high sixes, low 7. On your end, as a loan officer, what do you see happening in the spring, the summer, when it comes to rates?
You know, like the old cliche saying, no one has a crystal ball, right? So I can't tell my clients, hey, you know, wait until June or December because rates are going to be at 4 or 5s. I don't know, right? We don't know what the market's what's gonna happen to the market. There's so many geopolitical issues going on that could affect us here in the U.S. as well. So, you know, it goes back to what's relative in your current situation. There's people that it makes sense for them to keep renting a home, or it makes sense for them to keep saving and living with their parents. If you feel like it's a great opportunity, if you feel that you have a great job, your income's gonna stay consistent, and you can pay that mortgage, go for it. You know, if it's a home that you like, you know, now people are buying houses and expecting either a huge jump in equity, or expecting lower interest rates, but again, that's not the case.
Correct.
Right? So if you're gonna buy a house today, I say keep long term, right? 5-7 years, I think it's a good time frame for you to purchase a home. There's enough equity that would build.
Correct.
And enough time that, you know, when the market does fluctuate and interest rates do come down, because the next 5 or 7 years, we have to see some type of shift in the market.
Correct.
Hopefully.
Yes.
And from then you could refinance, get into a lower rate.
Correct.
Work your way around it.
And we understand, you know, and that's how we work, right?
Yeah.
We always tell our clients, listen, when is the right time for you to buy a home or to sell your properties? When the time is right for you.
Yeah.
You know, I love my fellow realtors, but it gets me sometimes when, you know, rates come down 0.05%. And all over social media, it's like, buy a house now because rates, come on, you know? It's just when it's the right time for you to actually make that, because it's an important move in your life, whether you're buying or you're selling, you know? If you have a rate of 2.9, 3%, you know, you're going to have to realize that you're not going to get that rate now in 2025.
Yeah.
Because the market is completely different from what it was back then.
Yep.
Our market is always changing, right? That's something that we have to keep up with. You know, what it was happening in December is not the same as January, and then we got to move forward. Now we are here in March, the beginning of March. We know the springtime is coming. That's when the season starts for us and usually lasts until October. I'm pretty sure days on the market are going to come back down. I think properties are going to move forward. And when it comes on your side, for people applying for loans, do we have any down payment assistance programs that have come on? And we have Hometown Heroes a couple of years ago. What's out there? What's new for the consumer this year?
For sure. And before I jump into the down payment assistance and all these programs, what phrase stays in my mind whenever I think about buying a house is it's better time in the market than time in the market.
That's right.
Right. So again, we were saying before, in 5 to 7 years, if we look at back in history, home prices are going to keep increasing.
Correct.
Right. So if you're just trying to time into the perfect where the prices are the lowest and interest rates are the lowest, it's like hitting the lottery, which is highly unlikely.
Yes.
But yeah, we do have a bunch of programs. There isn't Hometown Heroes anymore, but as a broker, we work with 30 plus different lenders. Each lender offers different programs and different incentives. A lot more for first-time home buyers to get their foot in the door of owning a home for the first time. So it's similar to the Hometown Heroes program where they cover your down payment for a certain time. But there is a difference, and I think people really understand between a down payment or assistance and a grant. Right? Most down payment assistance, you have to pay that money back at a certain time.
Correct. Yes.
Right? For the Hometown Heroes, they gave you the down payment for the home up to, which was like 5%. But if you sold or refinanced the house within the first 10 years, you have to pay that money back.
Correct.
Right? Usually in that setting, you'll say, hey, I'll build enough equity. I'll use the equity to, it'll cover the cost of whatever they gave you if you needed it. But a grant is something completely different. A grant is free money.
Correct.
The government or the lender is giving you money towards your down payment, towards the cost but you don't have to pay back,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I always tell people, yes, down payment assistance is great, but there's always a catch.
Correct.
The money you probably have to pay back, and interest rates are probably slightly higher, because in life, no one gives anything out for free.
There's no free money.
Right? So it's like, hey, yeah, I'll give you this money, but interest rates are going to be high. I want more interest from you. So
Something that you mentioned is you are a mortgage broker.
correct, yeah.
And a lot of people don't really understand what's the difference in a mortgage broker versus a traditional bank? Explain to the consumer what it is.
Yeah. So for us, we have so much leeway on the products that we could offer. So I know we had a client before that didn't qualify for traditional financing, right? They went to their bank and they couldn't get approved for a loan because they were self-employed. As a broker, we have things called a non-QM. I know we touched it briefly on our last conversation, but with a non-QM, a non-qualified mortgage, we don't abide by the regular guidelines between a conventional FHA loan, right? It doesn't matter if you have a W-2 job. It doesn't matter if you're reporting all your income on the tax returns, because there are programs that we don't look at tax returns. We don't look at income. So as a broker, we just have a huge Rolodex of different options for a client. And like the old saying that we say to all our clients, if you want to buy a house, you're going to buy a house.
There's a way.
If there's a will, there's a way, right? So I think that the difference between a mortgage broker is that for sure.
So there you guys have it. For a free consultation, you can call me Ryan Diaz at 407-361-7454. And Jeremy?
Yeah, you can contact me at 407-744-8326.